Story 1. I do not know about ruining, but it definitely makes me sad that my best friend has turned to the Make America Great Again movement and now thinks I am the problem. We have been close for 16 years, and suddenly we are not close anymore. Story 2. Anxiety. The worst thing is I don't know how to stop it because I don't know for sure where it is coming from. Story 3. My insecurities. Sometimes I feel fine with how I look, but when I see other people who are more attractive or have more attractive features than mine and hear them complain about those specific features, it brings me right back to square one. Story 4. I train mixed martial arts and have nerve damage in my left elbow. The United States healthcare system has made it expensive and difficult to get help. I have been waiting 2 months for my electromyography appointment. There has been no availability to move it up. The appointment is in 10 days now. It will cost $2,500 out of pocket with insurance. Story 5. Major depression and an eating disorder. Recently found out I have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, so there might be a way to work on that. I am not suicidal in any way, but I am still very far from actually believing that things will be better, let alone fine one day. Story 6. Honestly, it is an endless loop of deciding what to watch next. I waste hours scrolling through shows and movies like it is a full-time job, and by the time I pick something, I am already too tired to enjoy it. Story 7. Depression, self-neglect, sexual addiction related to my ex, alcohol use, and staying up all night. At least I have a job. Story 8. Transitioning to college is making me feel very overwhelmed because I have to commute for almost an hour every day. Story 9. My mother is ruining my relationship and doing everything she can to stop me from seeing him. Cannot take any more. Story 10. Just kidding. Don't take it seriously. I am trying to find someone even though I know I am still working on myself. Story 11. I broke 2 molars over the weekend on opposite sides of my mouth. I cannot currently afford to get the dental work to fix them, so eating has been tricky. Story 12. My job at a soulless, massive multinational consulting company with brainless management has sunk to the bottom of the ocean for the past 3 years. Story 13. Having my phone hacked and every move watched and tracked by a stalker is terrifying. Cyberstalking ruins lives. There were blackmail attempts because I had nude vacation photos on my phone, and they demanded money to not release them. I now feel like technology is evil. The irony is, I'm typing this from a phone, but I allow myself limited use each day and have significantly downgraded my device. Story 14. Some skin condition is drying out my hands and causing them to crack, bleed, and hurt. It seems like dehydration, but I cannot drink more water than I already do. I also have itching all over my body, especially on my legs and feet. I scratch until I bleed. One possible cause is lymphoma, but it does not match other symptoms. I know I should see a doctor, but honestly, I would rather not know if it is something serious. Modern medicine can cause financial, physical, and mental strain, often preparing people to accept death as a better outcome. Story 15. Obsessive-compulsive disorder, carpal tunnel syndrome, difficulty focusing in university. I moved into an apartment that was not cleaned before I moved in. They've cleaned it twice now, but I still hate it here and am debating whether or not to move again after only 1 month. Story 16. My university randomly decided to kick me out of the dormitory because I am studying by correspondence, even though a few weeks ago they said I could stay. Now, I have about a week to find a new place to live, or I will be homeless. Story 17. I think I have vertigo. I have had symptoms for a couple of months, but in the last week, it has become severe. Story 18. My wife has an autoimmune disorder, and insurance premiums tripled this year. 2 years ago, my wife underreported our income to the insurance company, and we were hit with a $6,000 tax bill. Between the government and the insurance company, I am having an extremely hard time keeping up with the mortgage. What doesn't go to the government or United Healthcare is consumed by increased gas and electricity bills and rising food costs. Every time I start to get ahead, local taxes for water and sewer eat right into it and leave me broke again. If I don't pay those, there is no more water. The extra shifts I have been working feel like a drop in the bucket. Story 19. The leaders running the world, specifically Gwen Stefani, Paul Bulk, and the notorious Adam Larry Fink. Story 20. I had surgery on my hip and I should have healed by now, but I have not. Also, my grandchildren were born recently. One was born 5 days ago and the other 13 days ago. They live in Texas and I live in California. My husband does not want to move. Story 21. Well, I stumbled into recursion and am noticing it everywhere, not just on the internet but in real life mainly, and it is driving me crazy. So then I grab some Jamesons and it makes it all better. Plus, I am on my hot yacht floating in the harbor. Story 22. My inability to fall asleep has been a problem on and off throughout my entire life. I am very worried about how it will affect me in the future. Story 23. Capitalism, pretty much. The rising costs of everything just to survive. The single-parent struggle is very real. Basically, everything requires dual income just to get by now. Story 24. My entire being. I am undergoing therapy and seeing a psychiatrist to hopefully improve myself. Story 25. My room is reality television level messy, and it breaks me down every time I clean it because I wonder how I let myself live like this. I feel gross. What is wrong with me? Story 26. Chronic illness. I am sorry to complain about the government, but they have made it so difficult to receive sickness benefits that I have to work and power through this illness instead. Story 27. Reddit, YouTube, my mental instability, insomnia, loneliness, missing a father figure in my life, my traumas, my anxiety, my overthinking mind. But I still have music and caffeine though, peak therapy. Story 28. I might be slightly lacking in motivation. I am overweight, and just getting on my exercise bike is mentally challenging. Story 29. Watching Donald Trump getting away with it all and seeing the United States of America lose its democracy and respect in the world. Story 30. What is ruining your life at the moment? Feeling like I am behind everyone else. You are not alone. Comparison kills joy. Most people fake it anyway. Move at your own pace. Small wins matter. What is ruining your life at the moment? Crippling student debt. Same here. $40,000 in and still job hunting. It is a trap. Try income-based repayment. Side hustles help too. What is ruining your life at the moment? Insomnia every night. Tried melatonin and no screens late? Mine was stress. Journaling and walking helped. Lack of sleep can wreck everything. What is ruining your life at the moment? My job is soul-crushing. Start looking quietly, even 30 minutes a day. You are not stuck, just scared. Toxic jobs bleed into life. What is ruining your life at the moment? Lost my motivation. Routine helps. Do one small thing a day. Do not wait to feel inspired. Action brings motivation, not the other way around. Feel free to share more. I will keep it real. Story 31. In-laws are making us think we cannot afford a small apartment. Even though I make nearly $3,000 a month. My wife works too. This is driving me very mad. Story 32. There's just so much going on in my family right now that I can't seem to catch a break. The last few weeks have been nonstop, and I haven't had a lie-in in about a month. I haven't slept before midnight in about a month because before I sleep feels like the only time I have to relax, be alone, and recharge. I like when life is busy, but I'm so ready for a lazy stay-at-home weekend now. Story 33. Geez, I do not know. Maybe all of the beautiful people who work in my occupation. Like hell, is it too much to ask you to treat this job like a career and not a quick paycheck? No respect. Story 34. I used to have a big group of friends, about 10 to 15. We were all pretty close and used to meet up a couple of times a week for football, a meal, or whatever. Then one day, it felt like I was just cut out. No arguments, no explanation, just communication with me and only me stopped. A week ago, I saw an Instagram post with all 15 of them in a group picture having the time of their lives, while I was alone in my bedroom wondering where it all went wrong. I have thought about that picture and how desperately I want that more times than I would like to admit in the last week. I am 19, by the way. Story 35. My husband is forcing me to file for divorce and resolve matters through attorneys because he refuses to be responsible and figure out the division of our belongings. Now, all of this will end up paying for attorneys. He seems to think that delaying this process will make us get back together. However, the words, "I don't like the way you behave and my life is much better when you're not around," do not seem to hold any meaning for him. This makes sense, as nothing I have ever said seems to affect him. I am eager to be married to someone who does not care about how I feel or what I say. Story 36. Stressing out. I have always had stress, but throw wedding planning into the mix and my body has just turned against me. I have had the flu for the first time in my life, COVID-19, and constant infections. I am just tired and so ready to get it over with. Stress really does kill. My fiancé is making me go to yoga once we are done. Story 37. Mentally ill, drug addicted, alcoholic ex who cannot accept that I divorced her, moved on, and remarried. I moved, changed my email and my phone number. Story 38. Anxiety is the fear of starting to change anything. In my teenage years, I stayed in my room and felt life passing me by. Story 39. The job market, no hiring, no money, lack of meaningful social connections, and depression and social anxiety linked to these issues. Story 40. My twin, grandmother, and mother. My grandmother has been bedbound, self-inflicted, since my grandfather passed away. They did not really love each other. He was a sex pest and my grandmother never stood up for herself. She also did not like others having their own free will. Both my mother and sibling forced her care onto me. My sibling does not pay rent, uses most of the electricity with a powerful computer and 3 monitors, LEDs, and fans. He used my grandmother's money for food to the point that her bank account has fallen to between 40 and 100 pounds a few times. Meanwhile, he has saved multiple thousands, even while spending hundreds on Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. He has admitted to having a Star Citizen account worth 8,000 pounds. He refuses to move out and has turned the house into a trash heap in a hoarder-style manner. I spent 4 years cleaning up after him to the point that I injured my back and could not move for weeks. My mother enables him, and whenever anything needs doing, she calls and texts me incessantly. If anything goes wrong, such as black bins not being put out, she blames me. I do not have a job due to all responsibility being pushed onto me. Neither my grandmother nor my mother has an answer when I ask what I will do when my grandmother passes. I live with her, having been forced to leave home at age 10 due to a physically and emotionally abusive stepfather. I doubt I will be able to keep the house, while my brother will just find somewhere else and tell people he is amazingly kind. Story 41. Cost of living and general unease about the future. I am trying to stay positive, but it is getting harder. Story 42. My relationship is over, but we are emotionally dependent on him and cannot find the courage to break up. Story 43. My current work is not the best. I dread going in every day, which in turn makes me overthink. I cannot really enjoy my weekends either. I started this job recently after experiencing a long period of no work due to layoffs. I am trying to take it one day at a time, but it is exhausting both mentally and physically. Story 44. Scrolling. I waste so much time, and I am in my prime or whatever. I am working hard at putting the phone down, and it is feeling better. I can think my own thoughts more and more, but it still gets me, and the thought that I am using my limited time looking at garbage scares me. Story 45. Living in a house with mold for 1.5 years made me very sick. I just moved out. Fingers crossed. I am on many medications. Story 46. Wrapping up a fellowship I hate in an industry that is declining in my country. Trying to find a job afterwards while having career doubts. Now, former friends are ending the friendship rudely, lying and gaslighting me about how close we are. I am trying and failing to find a girlfriend after meeting my dream woman, whom I cannot be with, and there are no possible attractive alternatives who are single. Story 47. Depression. I haven't fully been able to shake it off as much as I have in the past. Those thoughts never really leave me alone, especially at night when I am by myself. I am not planning anything, but it does get tiring constantly having the thought of suicide pop into my head. Story 48. Uncertainty about what I want to do with college and my life. The good old-fashioned caught between pursuing what I love and what will pay the bills type of thing. It is really tough to plan for the future when I cannot even see where I am going at the moment. Story 49. Phone addiction, gaming addiction, lack of motivation for what I actually want to do in my life. I could probably go on, and I need to fix it. Story 50. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is not quirky or fun at all. When you actually have an executive function disorder, it affects your work life, your relationships, and even your ability to care for yourself. You feel limp with exhaustion, screaming at your brain to feed yourself and go to bed, but you cannot stop scrolling on your phone, working, or pursuing dopamine hits. It is like being possessed by your own worst enemy sometimes. Story 51. 1. My social and love life or lack thereof. 2. The power dynamic that my mother has over me. 3. My inability to find employment and the bureaucratic roadblocks constantly halting my progress. 4. The hypothetical harmful thoughts in my brain and the difficult upbringing that caused them. Story 52. My complete lack of ambition. Since 2020, I have lost all desire to do anything with my life. I have been stuck in a repeating cycle of the same day over and over again, and it is making me lose faith that it will ever change. Story 53. Heroin, unable to stop and worrying about a possible pre-employment drug test coming up. I may not pass, which could land me in jail. Story 54. Seeing a family member today whom I had a hard time forgiving and had not seen or spoken to in over 10 years. It went well, and now I feel guilty. Story 55. I have no idea why, but I suddenly have really bad health anxiety. I am so hyper-focused on symptoms that I start to actually have them. Of course, they go away when I am distracted, but it is frustrating to deal with. It is driving my wife kind of crazy, so I am considering taking sertraline or something for a bit. Story 56. 1. A mental problem prevents me from working like a normal person, meaning I have no financial independence. 2. Knowing that I will never have a partner to exchange love and affection with for several reasons, including my incompatibility with humans. 3. My race dysphoria. I do not feel human, and being inside the human body is humiliating. 4. Knowing that I live in a world where values are ridiculous and materialistic, a world where cruelty is normal, and a world where evil always wins. Story 57. Not ruining but stressing. I hope my son can find a job. He just graduated from college, and it has been difficult finding work. Story 58. Trying to find my humor again. It is so difficult to connect with people when my humor has been worn away. Story 59. Work is scheduling me less and less. My paycheck keeps decreasing, and none of the other places I have applied to have responded. Story 60. The current administration frustrates me greatly. All my friends are busy working or cannot afford to do anything. I recently debated adopting a dog. I had one pass away about 4 years ago. My adoption was rejected. I looked at a few others, but I just cannot bring myself to do it again. I work so much, and it does not seem fair to the dog. Adding in things I want to do and having no idea how to train or correct beyond simple commands, it just seems too daunting to deal with right now. I have a new boss and a rotation of 3 jobs at work in my area. There is so much change, it is hard for me. Story 61. I injured my knee a couple of weeks ago, and now, because of the way I was walking and limping, the pain has transferred to my Achilles tendon. I have never experienced pain like this before, and I have given birth. It is a shocking and awful pain. Story 62. I ended up catching feelings for someone I was hooking up with on and off for 3 years, and I am having a really hard time forgiving myself for putting myself in such a poor situation. For some reason, this has also coincided with me feeling like my life has lost its color. I just feel like it is time I will never get back and that it is a mistake I will never heal from. Story 63. Myalgic encephalomyelitis/chronic fatigue syndrome. Month by month, I feel my ability to do the things I enjoy fade. I have to learn how to pace myself so I don't crash, but I haven't figured out my limits yet, and it's very frustrating and upsetting. I know there are people with chronic fatigue syndrome who are able to live very fulfilling lives, and hopefully I'll figure it out someday. At the moment, it really feels like the end of the world. I can't work. With my friends, all I can really do most of the time is grab something to eat and watch television. I can't really date and definitely can't have sex, because that would cause my body to crash for days. I am a trained chef who is living off frozen, microwavable meals because cooking uses more energy than I have. I have dealt with a lot in my life, but coming to terms with being disabled and having to grieve everything I have lost is one of the hardest things I have had to do. Story 64. My mom. I even told her how hopeless I was feeling, but that was her chance to support me even more. I love her. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.